Crafting a compelling introduction is notoriously challenging, and even more so is the task of introducing a villain in a way that leaves a lasting impression.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Yet, both feats are masterfully achieved in the opening scene of Inglourious Basterds through the introduction of Colonel Hans Landa.
I, on the other hand, love my unofficial title.
This scene stands as one of cinema's most iconic openings, but it's not without precedent.
Point out to me the areas where they're hiding.
A remarkably similar sequence appeared over 4 decades earlier in a film that happens to be Quentin Tarantino's all-time favorite: The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. If you're unfamiliar with the film, it revolves around a Confederate treasure buried amidst the chaos of the American Civil War, and the 3 men vying to outwit each other in its pursuit: Blondie, the Good; Angel Eyes, the Bad; and Tuco, the Ugly. Remarkably, we grasp their character traits almost instantly, thanks to their distinctive introductions. Tuco bursts onto the scene amidst chaos, leaping through a window after dispatching 3 men mid-meal. His title card features a blend of rounded and angular shapes, accompanied by music that mimics the solitary howl of a coyote, echoing the film's opening sounds. Blondie is introduced as a man who appears lawful and good, bathed in sunlight with a smooth, rounded title and cheerful music. However, it's soon evident that he's driven by self-interest. Angel Eyes, much like the aforementioned Hans Landa, is introduced as a cold-blooded killer, seated in darkness with sharp, angled text and deep, menacing music. It's in Angel Eyes' introduction that the influence on Inglourious Basterds becomes palpable. Both scenes commence at a farmhouse where the domestic tranquility is disrupted by the arrival of an outsider. Ennio Morricone's piercing music interrupts the natural sounds, only to cease upon the character's arrival. Villains in these narratives don't merely enter, they make a pronounced arrival: characters. While we can surmise that these visitors signify danger, their true motives remain concealed until they choose to unveil them. From the moment they step into the space, their calculated yet casual movements assert their dominance. This is where the 2 scenes diverge in execution. Tarantino showcases his prowess in crafting dialogue, allowing Landa's performative charm to emotionally unravel Lopodite before revealing his true purpose.
Tell Baker that I told him all that I know already. Tell him I want to live in peace, understand? That it's no use to go on tormenting me.
In contrast, Sergio Leone emphasizes silence, amplifying diegetic sounds to almost deafening levels. Letting Angel Eyes intimidate through quiet menace. There's an absence of monologues or theatrics, just presence and succinct dialogue. Yet both scenes serve the same purpose: to build tension. From Landa's introduction to the revelation of his true intent,
I can think like a Jew.
You're sheltering enemies of the state, aren't you? Spans just over 14 minutes. Angel Eyes' approach and the establishment of his presence take nearly 4.5 minutes. This meticulous pacing is what renders both scenes so masterful. Tarantino, drawing inspiration from Leone's films, understands that conveying a character's danger doesn't require explicit statements. It can be shown through a natural, almost agonizingly slow buildup. This becomes even more evident when examining the same scenes with all extraneous space removed. The deliberate length created by this space is crucial to the scene's impact. During this time, we feel the pacing through shot selection, starting with wide shots encompassing both men, gradually tightening into close-ups as the tension escalates. This focus traps us within the scene, alongside characters now confined within the frame, until we reach the inevitable climax, which, compared to the build-up, concludes in mere seconds. Tarantino employs this technique multiple times, even within the same film. The guessing game acts as the build-up, the camera paces the tension, and the drawn-out sequence leads to a sudden halt. Leone's influence permeates Tarantino's work, especially within the scope of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Once you recognize these parallels, they're unmistakable. Returning to the farmhouses, both scenes culminate dramatically. The music, silenced at the scene's onset, resurfaces with full force. Serving as an exclamation point rather than a guide to the tension. Leone's unique directorial approach reshaped modern storytelling. He doesn't rush violence, he ensures the audience feels every second leading up to it. When it arrives, it's swift. His characters often remain still and speak minimally, yet every glance or measured breath he captures makes the tension feel suffocating. We can infer why an SS officer would visit a French household, just as we can surmise why a man in black would approach an isolated house. However, by prolonging the scene, our imagination remains active, continually guessing. "I love rumors," Landa remarks. "It's just one of the many techniques Leone perfected, and it happens to be among my personal favorites." Tarantino's admiration for Leone goes beyond technique. It's about philosophy. Leone believed that tension could speak louder than action, and Tarantino adopted that belief wholeheartedly. You can feel it not just in pacing, but in how both directors use power dynamics. In both scenes, the villain walks in as if he owns the space, not through brute force, but through presence. And that presence reshapes the environment. The farmhouse stops being a home and becomes a stage for dominance. The people inside become props in a game they don't know they're playing. And it's not just the writing, it's in the movement, the blocking, the way one character stays seated while the others hesitate to even breathe. The chairs, the tables, the floorboards, all become part of the tension. Even the way the camera moves reveals who's in control. Landa's conversation flows smoothly, but the camera slowly pushes in, trapping Lapidite.
You're from Baker?
In Leone's scene, the static shots hold just long enough to make you uneasy, and then suddenly cut in closer, forcing your attention. There's also something symbolic in both farmhouses being invaded by a man in black. It's not subtle, but it doesn't have to be. These aren't just men, they're forces. The devil doesn't kick down the door, he knocks politely, steps in with a smile, and then burns the place down. And that's what connects these two characters across decades. It's not just that they're dangerous, it's that they enjoy the performance. That's why we remember them. Not just for what they did, but for how they made us feel before they even acted. That's the power of cinema done right, when a single entrance can haunt you longer than the violence that follows. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.